Chapter 2! The story of money. Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode on this channel. Today we're talking about the history of money. So how about we get started? So how does this work? How does money work even anyway? Now, what is the history of money itself? It's like it comes from nowhere. The money from our hands comes from nowhere, like this. So then, where does all this money come from? Well, for that, we'll just first talk about the history of money. Long ago, people were really, let's just say, big in ideas. A lot of people decided that money was something really needed. So they decided to use a system where there is a lot of money. Just how this camera that is recording me is portable. A lot of things are portable themselves. For a while, that is. Firstly, calorie shells were introduced as a type of money because it was durable, it was portable, and it lasted for long. But then later, different types of money came throughout the world. Even gold was started to become a type of currency. Gold and even silver. And then these two metals, And these two metals eventually became really cool. And then eventually iron came into the system. Iron was really important back then. Even though iron is really important, there was a drawback in this. This drawback is kind of cool but all, but then later big things started to happen. Limestone blocks. I'll better draw that more representation. Limestone blocks of different sizes have been transported, and once they were put on somewhere, they were never ever moved. There was even one account of a story where people had a bit of a limestone problem. The problem with these limestone blocks is that the place where they were used were actually not naturally made there. But one day, some people were collecting the limestone rings back to shore of their island when a wave struck, and they had to go through. Actually, wait a minute. And then the crew on there were like, "Yikes! Yikes! Help!" And eventually, all this turned out into a bad, unworthwhile system. And then eventually, the limestone fell off into the ocean. The crew survived. Then the crew approached their little country. When the crew arrived back onto shore, they told everybody about what happened, the limestone even falling off. And everybody thought really hard if the limestone was really useful. And then they decided that the limestone that was in the sea, even though they were never movable, so it still counted. And to this very day, somebody had used the unmovable limestone. It was with the sea forever and ever and ever and ever. That was the story of money. And that was one of the stories of money, by the way. There's a lot of other stories of money, like how the money exchange came to be. A lot of people have been bartering for thousands and thousands of years. And eventually, a lot of people had a problem, just like a limestone problem. And then they decided that there should be one type of metal forever. Sort of money. Even in China, anybody who had banknotes was vulnerable of getting robbed. And eventually, the golden standard was introduced, where your money is linked to the country's gold. Let's say, to keep things simple, that there are $2 in your country is 1 ounce of gold. And when you're going to try to use this $2 for the... Let's say that you're trying to use $2 to buy something in England's products, while they are trying to use €2 to buy your products. Can you use any of these money at home for exchange? Well, the gold standard solved this problem, where if one $2 is connected to 1 ounce of gold, just to keep things simple, and the 2 euros are also equal to 1 ounce of gold, then things start getting complicated. Then things start getting simpler. You can just trade it. That means $1 in your country is equivalent to €1 in that country. Problem solved. Shaky, shaky, shake. And that was how it works. But then eventually, the United States everybody else decided that everybody used gold during the war, that they gave almost all their gold literally to the USA. The USA, nobody else around the world except the United States of America was on the gold standard. And then they decided what they should link their currency to. And then they realized that since the USA is still on the gold standard, they could just peg their money to the US dollar. And eventually Richard Nixon, during the Cold War, took the USA off the golden standard. Boom. No golden standard. But some of the countries still pegged their currency all the way to the US dollars. Now all the currencies around the world was pegged to the US dollar. And the US dollar was tied to nothing. So yeah, there you go. The history of money. And then, yeah, that's all happened. This is the end of this episode. If you enjoyed this episode of history, then I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next episode. Shirahan out. Peace.